this debt, this destruction.
Global news impacts us.
We have to change the way we live. This is why we need independent media.
Cheers and salutations to all of you who are watching our show, especially to our Can TV audience, people who watch us on YouTube, Rockfin, Rumble, and Kick. The purpose of this video is to talk about this documentary program that is now available on YouTube on Craig Pastor-Jardula's YouTube channel. I will be showing the YouTube channel link. I think it's only fair for all of you to see it firsthand because, again, he is somebody who's been speaking truth to power. And recently, he was in Maui speaking to a treasure trove of individuals that survived the devastating wildfire that impacted that entire community. And just so our viewing audiences are made aware, I encourage you to please subscribe to his YouTube channel. That 2,000 number is not enough. It needs to be higher. Make it up to 11K. How about that? And again, here's the full documentary video that came out 2 days ago, Lahaina on Fire, the Aftermath. I personally feel that the viewership should be at 1 million. But in order to keep things fair and just, I'm going to first show all of you that are watching the trailer to this video, and I encourage all of you to go to the original YouTube channel as soon as you can to please subscribe and support and share this documentary video. We'll be speaking to the narrator, director, producer of it, Craig Jardula Pasta. But first, let's play this video and share it with all of you. We must fight for a better future.
We finally made it. We're here in Maui. Just a couple miles up the road over there, that's Lahaina Beach. An outrageous fire broke out, killing hundreds, if not thousands, with thousands more missing.
They feel that number of 150 people dead is a slap in the face. Thousands are missing. And when they say missing, they just haven't been identified yet.
We're going to talk to the citizens, the locals, the indigenous people here at Lahaina to get some answers.
They've been telling people, don't come back here. You can't breathe. You can't drink the water. Trying to scare people away. And that seems like they want to have a land grab. And people are very, very suspicious of this. The locals, the people who lost everything, those are the ones who are suspicious, and they want answers, and they're not going to stop.
Why did the emergency sirens not get sounded? Why did they run out of water? Why were the police blocking people in so they couldn't escape from the deadly flames?
Can you see the fence here? That fence that you got right over there is going ripping all the way around and about, so people can't come in through the other side to see what's going on. They're not allowing anybody in unless you have a house that's standing. Even the people who lost their houses, they told us yesterday, they're not allowed to go into the zone. So they can't have any closure whatsoever.
Why is the governor saying that Maui is closed when the whole island is dependent on tourism? Why are FEMA and Red Cross dragging their feet?
At the end of the day, we do know this for sure. The response, the emergency response has been crap. It feels like it's an orchestrated gentrification of sorts. They want people out, they want the locals gone, they want the indigenous people gone, and they want this land.
Finally, we're also here to understand what we can do to help these people stay in Lahaina.
Lahaina has a history that is rich in tradition. Not just locals lived here, but indigenous people lived in Lahaina. Lahaina was the capital before the American Empire had taken over.
They're not wanted here anymore. That they're not getting the necessary means to stay and fight and live where they've lived for so long.
And Lahaina, that is just destroyed, would be a perfect prime spot for them to go, let's just wipe it all out and let's build up from scratch.
We need to understand what we need to do as citizens here in America to help these people today. I'm Craig Pastor-Jardula. Let's go find out.
And joining me here is the gentleman that took the initiative to do something that corporate media, the politicians, don't have the courage to do. My friend, look, you have been one of the few people speaking truth to power, and I watched this documentary last night, and I had to rewatch it again, pause at certain parts, rewatch it again, rewind, and take as much notes. And this interview will not do it justice, and that's why I encourage people to go see the video in its full entirety. But Pasta, you know, I saw some snippets of that you posted on your Twitter account, on your social media, and even then, when we talked about it, it didn't do it any justice. This video is heart-wrenching, hilarious at some points because you do see the humor, the hope, and humanity. but 10 out of 10. You made an outstanding video, and I am proud to call you a colleague. How are you doing with the aftermath of the video coming out?
Well, thank you so much for having me on, Kit. I thought we were going to have a discussion where you finally were going to give in and say New York pizza was better than Chicago pizza. That's what I was expecting this morning. If this is where we're at, you are a fellow Paisan, I'll roll with it. I mean, yeah, man, thanks for having me on. And, after your show, I'm going to do Shanda's show. I got Jimmy's show today. Where I got some stories. And, it's kind of crazy because more information has come out this weekend that's going to, I don't want to say justify, but really hits at one of the main themes of this whole movie. The downplaying of this situation is one of the things that is really just driving me crazy then, and it's driving me crazy now. In that trailer you saw, I came out swinging. When I said the people of Lahaina, I think it's a slap in the face. Do you remember at one point they said 150 dead with hundreds missing? Now they're like at 96 dead.
How does that number even go down? And not to mention, I don't mean to cut you off here, but I did a recent report too, because we got viewing members who are in Hawaii or who live there, and they sent me reports of, oh yeah, it turns out it's going to take like a year to investigate what really happened. A lot can happen in a year, and then there's stories of, oh, the houses are going to be rebuilt, but it's going to be very expensive, like gentrification on steroids. I never saw anything more asinine in my lifetime, and an absolute insult to what happened to those people in Lahaina and the people you interview in this video, in this documentary. You see their pain. I don't know these people. I don't know who they are, but I see their story and what they have lost and how they were failed. They were failed on purpose, and they demand justice.
Yeah, they do. And I mean, it's heart-wrenching, and I have to go back. That's why I'm encouraging everybody to go watch the movie. We started a new fundraiser, and I didn't put up the fundraiser until the movie was up. I wanted people to see it with their own eyes and say, hey man, whatever you think it's worth, give. If you think it's the price of a movie ticket, give. If you don't think it's worth anything, then don't give anything at all. But for a brand new channel that had 3 videos on it, 1 live stream, it's gotten over 26,000 views in 2 days on a small dinky no channel. I think that video is probably well on its way to 100,000. I'm going to start a Rumble and put it up over there, maybe a shorter version. I don't know. We're talking about it. But I'm going to put it up on Rumble because I think there's a lot of watchers on Rumble that will enjoy it. But right out of the gate, that number, about the number going down, we're going to show you some evidence of some people that are from there, some more people that are from there that say it's a smack in the face. One person I didn't get to interview, she did an interview over the weekend. Her name is Ellie Cochran, and she's a House representative. And I got to tell you, Kit, you've been doing this for a while myself. You've been showing up to, remember when Chicago back in the days, we show up to the events and whatnot. A lot of the Democratic Party members or the Republican Party members, either party, they like to hide. They don't like to talk. They like to stay, in the shadows, hidden as much as they can, shielded from any criticism or hard questions. Ellie Cochran, aside from Tulsi Gabbard, who went on Joe Rogan and showed up, started giving out a bunch of stuff, mutual aid right out the gate. Other than those 2 people, the people of the citizens of Lahaina said they're pretty much their elected officials are avoiding them. They're not answering questions. Josh Green has avoided questions in city council meetings or in town meetings before. The people were upset by this. They want answers. But Ellie Cochran, who happens to be the state representative of that district, lives in Lahaina. She's a second-degree black belt in Taekwondo. She surfs. She's an awesome woman. We have a video from her today. We're going to play on the Jimmy Dore show of her talking about that and her fight with the government and fight with the governor about that number, right? And going down. And if you watch the video, one of the first people we interviewed, Jonathan, indigenous, he's got that hard accent, that brother, he talks about it. This is bullshit, this number. They had a missing list of close to 1,200 people. Now they're going backwards. And that's just citizens. It's just like, Ellie Cochran talks about the fence with all the white crosses that we took pictures of when we were there, right in Lahaina, And I got to say this much. For me, I know maybe the bar is set low, but if you show up, if you're visible, if you're available, if you're going to face the fire, then you're all right by me. Then I got props for you, and I got props for Ellie Cochran, the House Representative of Hawaii. I can't wait to talk about her today because she is taking this head on. She set up at the baseball field over there where anybody can go see her. She had a mutual aid tent over there with help and with stuff to give away to her neighbors and stuff. So I'm going to tip my hat off to her, because most of your politicians, they're hiding. They want this to go away. I heard people, Kit, who've talked, it's going to be 3 years before they break ground over there and set these houses up because of the rezoning and everything that's going on. And just last week, to some of these zones, just about less than a week ago, they started letting some families into some of these zones to go through their stuff, to sift through their ashes and whatnot. So this fight is long from over. We also have the mutual aid distribution centers that we have shared. One of those distribution centers we've raised over $50,000 for by using Jimmy Dore's megaphone and blasting the information out. And that's people-to-people assistance. That's people-to-people mutual aid. But this video really has some nuggets in there, because I shot it 3 weeks ago. And a lot of the things, unfortunately, because I say unfortunate because it is about trauma. It is about suffering. But unfortunately, a lot of the things we nailed in the movie, they came true. I'm very proud of this work. But once again, proud of the work or not, is a sad situation. There's a lot of trauma. And we got to return to the isle, because just as also this weekend, Friday and Saturday, they started closing down some of the assistance for living, the hotel rooms and whatnot. And there's a lot of people who didn't have their paperwork together. There's illegal immigrants, if you want to call them that, or undocumented worker, or just immigrants who didn't have the proper documentation. They're getting thrown out. So there's so many things that are happening in Lahaina today, right now, that we got to shine a light on. And this movie starts that whole process of giving you the context of what's been going on there and what's to come.
Watching the video, there was one moment, and now it feels even bittersweet now, because again, things that we said were going to happen are now happening, and it's at the detriment of the working class people. Let's be very clear here. Hawaii is a very popular tourist location, and tourism is the big industry. And what really stood out, it was a funny moment, but hey, they got you working, picking up the coconuts, as you should. I really like that, and then how you and your team and everyone there were drinking some good coconut milk, some of that coconut water, and then cooking up some good food. But the conversation, though, is the need for the tourist dollar, and yet there's people saying don't go to Maui. Now, even I was hearing that, I was like wondering, well, gee, how safe is Maui? Is it safe to go there? Is it not safe to go there? And the thing is, there are so many mixed reports going on there. What really stood out to you when you were hearing your colleagues, the people who you were meeting, saying, hey, that tourism money is our livelihood. If we don't have it, we are going to be impacted, not for the next few months, but for the following years. And it's going to be hurting us for the long run. Can you inform our viewers the significance of the need for relief for these working class people who are now put in a very dangerous spot of losing everything that they have built before the wildfire?
Well, that's the beauty of this film, right? You don't have to believe me, Kit. I went and asked the people, and you can just listen to them and believe them. Now it seems they're tuning an about face and trying to change the narrative, acting like, oh, we wanted to open for quite some time, but there are people who don't want us to open. Yeah, there are people, they don't want you to go to Lahaina, and I've never recommended for anybody to go to Lahaina. I've always recommended for people to go to the opposite side of the island by showing you the people in Hana and those other areas in Paia that are quite open. And we asked some citizens on the streets that live there, and there was one in particular who's like, the messaging was very wrong. It was very much like, close down, get out of here. Jason Momoa, I was in a restaurant, right, a couple days before I left. In fact, I got one of the guys calling me there. I think some of the people are in town. Some of the people from the distribution center, they've come out here to try to raise some money. But, I spoke to some people, and they were like, yeah, the messaging was wrong. Lahaina is closed, but the rest of the island is open. And it's very important that you come out here and spend your dollar. We need your help, So when you hear it right from the horse's mouth, and you don't have to, like I said, that's the beauty of this film. You don't have to believe Craig Pasta Jardula, right? You don't have to believe him when he says that New York pizza is better than Chicago pizza. Go see for yourself. You don't have to be,
the hate speech.
You don't have to believe him. I got to sprinkle that in there. You don't have to believe him when he says that, it was a wrong message to say that this island was closed. And shortly after I was saying that on the Jimmy Dore show and my show, the New York Times had written an article saying, oh, we have to do an about face. It showed those cars in the lot by the airport that are normally on the road are now just sitting there. And that's just meaning lost revenue. That's meaning people struggle. and that's meaning that we have to do something about it now. It is true. There are some people who said, don't come. Don't, what I'm saying? Give us time to heal. But the majority of people who understand that they're dependent on that. Listen, I've been in these situations in Florida with hurricanes a lot, kid.
Yeah.
At the end of the month, after the hurricanes come and gone, rent still due, right? Nothing in life is for sure certain except death, taxes, and rent. And you got to pay that rent. And if you're in the hospitality industry, which Florida, there's a lot of people who are. Same thing in Maui. There's a bigger percentage of people in the hospitality tourism business in Maui than there is in Florida. So knowing that, you have to understand we got to do what's necessary. Like I said, I didn't concentrate on so much what started the fire. I got some snippets in there and nuggets in there that talk about water diversion for quite some time. There's new lawsuits out there that are saying that there were developers who were diverting water of the streams and the irrigation towards their real estate properties away from the locals and the natives there. There's nuance to that, and that's going to play out over the course of time. But that's what we concentrated on, the aftermath. Why was Lahaina made to be a tinderbox for all these years? Can we understand that? What happened? Why weren't the alarms sounded? Earlier you'll see people will talk about the fire was contained. There was a fire earlier. It was contained. Everybody was going on with their life. Then no sirens, no nothing. People trapped, the hot air, the crazy winds, the police blocking people in, the no water. I went and got the information straight from the horse's mouth. So that's what's great about this documentary. And I encourage everybody to go watch it. It's only the tip of the iceberg because we're going back and we're going to pick up the pieces where they were left off. And there's a lot of stuff happening today as we speak in Lahaina that we need to highlight.
It's a tragic history of Hawaii, and for those who are watching this right now, if you look at the history, and again, I'm not full-on expert, but for the things that I've been reading about, the fall of the Hawaiian Kingdom, the overall colonialization of Hawaii, and then the sickening control, which was, I believe this event was called the Blue Revolution, or the Democrats eventually taking control over Hawaii. I mean, it's an overall story of tragedy and betrayal, and what happened to the native populace in the state of Hawaii, because it's more complicated than just the wildfire. The wildfire is just another thing of a long tragic tale, and all of this didn't have to happen. It didn't need to happen. It's a story of brutality, but at the end of the day, there is maybe some hope in the unseen where the people are standing up, and they have to stand up. So when you were interviewing these people, and I know we have a short little precious window because I know you got a lot of other programs to be on. I want to make sure you get there on time, and I am grateful for you being on the show. But is there anything that really stood out to you in regards towards, I guess, the power of Aloha? Because you asked what that meant. What did that signify to you, and what did you overall feel from the people? Because when I see some of these articles or these videos and people just in despair, I'm wondering, is there a momentum of pushing back, of community, to all these politicians who failed them? Because those sirens are not only designed for typhoons and hurricanes, volcanoes, but wildfire is in there. And they had the audacity to say, yeah, we don't have sirens for wildfire because people would run into the fire. I've never heard of that, but take it away. I want to give the floor to you, man.
Yeah, I mean, another great point about the movie that's, we point out there, obviously when I got back, I did a tweet, and the 4 things we learned, we are talking about the lack of transparency that's there and people wanting to understand what's going on, talking about Maui being open, that it is not closed down. And the final thing was, over the long run, this is not going to be anything that you're going to find that you're going to show up and be like, oh, look, we have the case cracker. We found the fraud. No, this is something that's, it was years and years, if not, decades, for the conditions to be set for a tinderbox situation in Lahaina. And that needs to be discussed, I think, more than what caused this whole thing. Because there's, like somebody said, everybody was concentrating on lasers or direct energy weapons or climate change or natural disaster. But somebody said to me, like, why would I go and use a space laser? Can I just walk up there and drop a flare? In other words, the situations, the climate, meaning the conditions, the lack of irrigation to those areas since the sugarcane shut down, the grass that was indigenous to Africa to feed the cattle. That was all that needs to be talked about, because in 2018, Kit, they had a fire, they had a warning. Why did the government snap into action and get this shit done? You know, knowing some of those houses in Lahaina are older than 200 years old. I mean, they're old, like we talked about. There's some old school indigenous living down over there. But the thing that was really good, the one thing I haven't mentioned out of the four things that really just kind of blew me away was the way people came together, these distribution centers. You know, over the last 2.5, almost 3 years, I've been to 7 Latin American countries. And I often talked about don't get your mind fixated on socialism. Get your mind fixated on collectivism. And there's an argument, is collectivism good or is it collectivism bad? Usually, you know, my libertarian friends that have such an American mindset think that collectivism is bad. But if you go to a Latin American country where the empire has the boot on their neck, collectivism is the only thing you got. You pull together, you pull your resources, you pull your manpower, and you fight off, a common enemy or obtain a common goal, right? And that's something that I've seen in a lot of countries, but I've never witnessed it at this level in what I saw in Maui. The coming together of the locals, the indigenous, the haoles, which are the white people, right? Coming together just to help each other out when the government is slow and dragging their feet, not only not giving you answers, but not giving you the assistance. Like I said, we can discuss it until the cows come home on what started this fire. But my activism side, concentrating on helping the people right now and what do they need. And they needed a direct line of assistance. Fuck Oprah and The Rock. I found the people who were running these distribution centers and shared their information. So people who watch the Jimmy Dore show, who watch this show, who watch my show, Shanda's, all our friends, right? Do Dissonance, all those shows I was going on, even, RBN who had me on, and all those shows right there, we were the ones who helped real mutual aid happen in Maui. And it's something I'm really proud of. But, man, that Aloha, right, you talked about, I used to make fun of it when I learned about it from the Tulsi Gabbard campaign. I used to tell them, kid, I'm like, please, we're Italians. Hospitality, we invented it. You're just calling it Aloha. Don't you know what I'm saying? The Italians invented that because of our loving and our
legitimate
It's in us.
There you go.
But, I make that joke, but to go really see Aloha for what it was, man, even with, understanding, and I've had some moments of, with that whole Tulsi Gabbard group, the people, what Aloha meant and how we shared that out there and just accepting people who thought differently than us. This was a whole nother level of Aloha about sharing and loving and caring for those who need it most. And we get to share that through the video. In particular, this one guy, Kelly, who, was one of these haoles who went out there and he's loved by the communities. He's got a big giant unicycle and he unicycles up and down the freeway, the local freeway over there. We talked to him and he talks about his experience of moving there and working with the locals and the indigenous and just we really do highlight what Aloha is in this movie. That's why I encourage people, please check out, somebody said my pastamentary. Please check it out.
Well, I think it's a great name. I think it's a great show. Again, what you're hosting on your YouTube channel, Lahaina on Fire, The Aftermath. Folks, this is a phenomenal piece of work. It is something that needs to be shared. I do hope that my words can help make it viral. I have to say, not only do I commend your work, but this is something that I've seen you do in the past. You are one of the dauntless few. And I don't use that word often, especially for just anybody. I mean, you are one of the dauntless few that is unbreakable and that can actually, when they say, hey, I'm going to do something, I'm going to do it. And that's why I like having you on our show. And that's why I'm glad to see that, again, all this work is coming to fruition. But again, to all my viewing audience members, if you have not seen Lahaina on Fire, again, please go to Pasa's YouTube channel. It's fundamentally important. Craig Pasa Jardula. There it is. And here's the documentary. If you have time, 1 hour and 6 minutes and 36 seconds of your life, it is a fantastic video. It is a story of triumph and tragedy. It is a story of hope. And it is a story of maybe if we stand together, we can fight for a better future and make sure that something like this never happens again. As a final note, people want to know, when will you return? And also, what do you hope would be the overall aftermath of this documentary, that maybe it'll bring attention to maybe people on bigger platforms? Are you hoping that does garner the attention, and will you return back to Lahaina, Maui anytime soon?
Yeah, the plan is, I think, around after the weekend of November 4th, probably early November, right? Like, I think around then will I return? I have a lot of things right now.
Oh, absolutely. I know your plate is
Yeah.
full, man.
Yeah. I'm supposed to, like, obviously, you know, we got this RFK announcement on the 9th, and I got to
Yes.
make arrangements to see if I can get up there, or, you know, got to talk to the big guy, figure out what's going on with that. I got Argentina in 3 weeks. They got election over there. So I got that on my plate. Yeah,
You're
I know,
going
no
all over
shit,
the
less
place,
than 3
man.
weeks. So, I mean, you know,
Wow.
we love to do that work. Fiorella's
Sorry,
in Iran right now, for crying out loud. Jesus.
Oh,
I mean,
wow.
so I don't even know. I don't even think she's going to be able to make Argentina with us this year. So, but I'm going to go. You know what I mean? When it comes to elections, observing those and understanding those, it's very important, because the empire always has its hand in play there. So I have to keep an eye on what the United States empire is trying to do, even in other countries. You know, so I got that situation. And then I will then eventually return. I do hope that people continue. Listen, one of the inspirations for this work was Cynthia McKinney. Cynthia McKinney was one of those people who always wanted independent investigations while she was a congresswoman. And one of the issues, one of the areas she had talked about was New Orleans, that it seemed like the mainstream media, after the disaster of Katrina, just packed up and went home and forgot about all the people who were living there and ceased to tell their stories. Didn't want to tell their stories, right? When it comes to Lahaina, seeing the mainstream media pack up and just go home, it really just burnt my ass. And that's why I made it a point to get over there. So I hope that people, not only myself, right, but other people, local journalists there, there, get connections. The people get connections to can continue to speak to, you know, any bigger type of platform to get the information on what's going on with their lives moving forward. I know a lot of people like to concentrate on what happened and caused that fire, but we have to concentrate on what's happening to the people. Those people there, that's what's most important. And like I said, it still feels today. It felt before I went, and it felt definitely when I went, that this is an orchestrated, managed gentrification. You know, too many coincidences. From everything from a lot of the indigenous local people getting water to their areas in Lahaina. Finally, they had won a big case in the courts, and they had the day before the fire is when their applications were due to get that water directed to them. And all of a sudden, this fire happens, and now there's an emergency proclamation, and it's back in the hands of the government. And also, too, when it comes to these situations, we got to make sure. We learned a lot when it came to COVID, that there can be overreach because people are scared, and they use the cloaking of a disaster, to get in there and start taking power and have an emergency proclamation or make rules that are unjust, that don't go through the proper procedures. They're doing that in Maui. They're doing it with the water. They're doing it with the housing. They're doing it with the zoning. There's so many things that are going on. So my hope is that other journalists pick up this mantle along with me and get this information out there, and we help these people, right? Because like Jesse Jett says in the song, sooner or later, a fire is going to come for you. It's going to come for us. And disaster capitalism will snap into play, you know, and they'll move us where they need to move us, because at the end of the day, it almost feels like they want to hurl us or move us into these smart cities, these big areas. They don't want us traveling. They don't want us going anywhere. And they want to redesign, you know, cities in their own mind. And, you know, the fact that Josh Green, the governor, was the keynote speaker at 15 Minutes Sustainable Cities just a couple months before this fire, not even a couple months, like a month and a half before this fire. That stuff is just crazy suspicious. So we need to highlight this.
Done deal, man. Pasta, as always, you're one of the few people speaking truth to power. I did like how you ate that spicy pepper, though, in the video. It was a little bit too much for you. You're supposed to represent us Italians. You know, some good deep dish pizza will help you out with that next time you try and handle that. But nonetheless, man, you did a great job. I encourage everyone else to check it out. I want to thank everyone in my viewing audience for joining in. I also want to give a shout out to this person as well, Rockfin. First TD tipped unbreakable, good word, impressive, and outstanding trait. And also you TD tipped $50 on Rockfin. Pasta and Kid have heart and soul, spirit and courage. That is real beauty on the inside and out. Well, first of all, thank you. And thank you to our entire viewing audience. If you are not subscribed to Pasta's YouTube channel, please get to it right away. He's done some phenomenal work. Again, here it is right here. We got some closing music from Jesse Jett. Pasta, as always, thank you so much for being on our show.
Hey, Kid.
Yeah, what's up?
Can you tell people also to go to givesendgo.com? slash Lahaina on Fire, the name of the movie. If they can help out anyway, after you watch the movie, what's the price of a ticket nowadays, kid? $15, $16? Or
No, bro. Shoot up. It's $20, man. So it's good.
well,
In
if you
Chicago,
think it's
it's
worth a
pretty
$20
pricey.
ticket, if you think it's worth a $20 ticket,
It's
please
you know
donate.
what? You know what? I would gladly donate my $20 then to a Bernie Sanders campaign. So there you go. I would gladly donate to that. So first of all, I will get to it right away. Hey, send me that link right away so I can post it on social media. So that way I can help out because word needs to get out, buddy.
I will put it in our private chat over here on StreamYard so you can share like the Dickens. How about that?
Done deal. And also, more importantly, brother, what I would like to say for you, you got a busy day, so I'm going to head on out. I want to thank all of you for joining us as well. And as always, folks, let us all do what we can to build a better future. We got some music from Jesse Jett. Take care. And yes, Chicago style pizza is the better pizza. Bye-bye.
Our society and our world are full of these invented and built up and contrived facades. And sometimes some people come along with a hammer and smash that facade. It's a brilliant, powerful hammer. It's a brilliant, powerful hammer to smash that facade. It's a brilliant, powerful hammer to smash that facade.
Welcome to the future. Shit where you please. The Wi-Fi's killer, but there's no more bees. So there's hardly any flowers, there are very few trees, and you'll pay $1,000 for some honey for your tea. But we got these awesome collars, mine's an Apple Model 3. It allows for better movement than the Tesla X Elite. It lets you customize the ads that it implants in every dream. And for premium subscribers, doesn't shock you in your sleep. But it doesn't stop there. It can analyze your speech, and if it hears disinformation, then it notifies police. It's a swift re-education, but it knocks you off your feet like your booster every 7th week. I faced the future boldly with 2 eager open eyes, and I picked a couple nuggets up that blew my fucking mind. Like you can taxidermy someone while they're technically alive, and they'll shine when it's election time. See, the Democratic voter base will pay them zero. Never mind if voting for the scarecrow is a vote along their party lines. They could stare into its marble eyes and claim there's something dignified. Unlike real politicians, this one doesn't need an oxygen or kit supply. But its function is the same as those who came before. The goals are never misaligned. It still spends all its working time performing pre-recorded fleecing sessions where it sugarcoats your slow and hungry genocide, while pouring billions into Nazi coffers, all the while selling you the story that we're moments till the MiGs arrive. So fuck it, ask Zelensky if he'll help replace our leaded pipes. Watch a fleet of Penske's show stacks of bills in every size. Guess it only took a black sun and a couple hiles. Honorary goose step and some Nazi boots a quarter mile, all while Biden sneers his sordid smile. I don't know what was in this morning's vial, but it makes him stare 1,000 yards through all the prompters and the cards like he can smell the nearest child. His eyes are wide and wild, wider than the grave in which another 1,000 families were tossed in as I typed until they rose up to the sky unceremoniously piled. which sort of flies right in the face of all this network ticker tape where the American economy has superhuman vitals.
And sometimes some people come along with a hammer.
See, I like to think my trial's gonna play like a recital. I'll denounce the world around me and accuse the most entitled, who weaponize their titles, whose pull is something title, who'd starve us all to death to best delight their blighted idol. So they might destroy the record, and I will never get to vinyl. So my word is not immortal, but it's final.
It's a brilliant, powerful hammer. It's a brilliant, powerful hammer to smash that facade.